15 for those taking score at home. My grandson's still in it. Put a chart up in his house. Got my son-in-law to help out my daughter. So the kid's 8 years old. So far, pretty good. 15. Some people didn't get to 15 actually. The kid's in 15, so pretty good so far. Thank God. So I was gonna actually wait until I shaved today. Shave today? Yeah. Rabbi gave us a sock because it's Shabbos and Chol Moed. So because of covered Shabbos, covered Rosh Chodesh, we could shave. So I was going to shave before we did this podcast, but we have the granddaughter here. So I figured I'd do this now before my granddaughter wakes up. My son, Moshe, and his wife are running in I think the 10K, the half marathon in Yerushalayim. Maybe the 10K they're doing. And my son Shmuel's doing the 5K. So we were babysitting duty. So at any moment, if they start screaming, we'll know we have to stop this and, and try and do this again. But be that as it may, here we are, Erev Shabbos, and Tazria Metzora, which means for some people, long laning. Some people means long laning with a not great Balkora. So it's my bar mitzvah parsha. So unfortunately, for about 100 people or so, 150 people, they're gonna, 24 hours from now, they're gonna be like, oh my God, here we go. So after a long Hallel, we're gonna have a long laning, 2 Torahs, and I'll be laning. So, what can I say? Baruch Hashem. Start there. A made it this far, 56, be 56 on Sunday, and still lane, not great. I'll be honest. Most people in shul, we have a lot of talent in our shul. It's one of the surprising things. We have 10 people that could really get up there and just belt it out pretty well. But there's Metzora, even though we had bar mitzvah boys do this parsha, no one wants to do it. So Tazria Metzora, I get up there this year. I was approached really late. I thought maybe they'd have someone else, so I crossed my fingers, but no. I'll be up there tomorrow morning. So okay. So you have your own service. We have our own service here, and a few weeks ago, I thought maybe there'll only be 50 people in shul because with the rockets and the war, they're only letting 50 people in the shul. Last week they got rid of the takana, which on one hand it's great. We don't have to kind of be worried about rockets. On the other hand, there'll be more complaints about people. There'll be more than 50 people to hear me lane tomorrow, but we'll see what we could do. So again, to Metzora, if you go with the whole Shabbos without hearing an idea from the Kliyaka, then you're kind of really not paying attention. The longest Kliyaka of the year talks about how do you fix Lashon Hara? Is there a fix? And if you look at that long Kliyaka in Metzora, he ends it by saying, "This is what I said in Lublin on Shabbos Zachar." So Rav Kliyaka was speaking in Lublin, and he gave a shear, shmooze, and he's talked about that. So Kliyaka really is a big proponent, about Lashon Hara and the dangers of it. It's one of his things, 300 years for 300 years before the Chavetz Chaim. So Clark, that was one of his things. Talk about the Lashon Hara, and his yard site also is coming up very soon. Kliyakar. So one idea, the Kliyakar, not the big one, but one of them, is the order in which Saras happens. And I think I said this at my mitzvah speech also, is that even though the Torah starts off with skin, starts with the skin, then it goes into hair, goes into clothing, and then in Parshat Metzora, talk about the house. Cleric says that's not really how it goes down, because really how it goes down is the other way. Really, tsaras happens at the house, then the clothing, then the skin. So why is it like this? Well, the Torah wants to kind of put this, this idea in your head how bad it is. You have to go outside your machana, be by yourself for a week, 2 weeks. But really, the Torah is merciful. Something bad happens in your house. Boy, the house is horrible. The carpenter's horrible. The Shepherdim guy is terrible. The gardener. No. It's you. Hashem gives this idea that something bad happens in your house. It's not the sink's fault. It's not because the computer is the chota. You have a problem internally. You have a problem. If you're not careful with your midos and your mitzvos and averos, your stuff's going to go south on you. And this is a chesed. It's one thing your computer breaking. One thing is your arm breaking. Computer, you can get it fixed quickly, get another computer. Your arm breaks and you're months and months without use of an arm. That's a big deal. Or something even worse, Chas v'shalom. So Torah is merciful. Hashem is merciful. You get Saras of the house. And the Kohen comes, they look at your stuff. You got to take a brick out if there's Saras. If it happens again and it spreads, you got to take, the house down. So the person's supposed to get these ideas. Something happens to you out of the ordinary, something, you know, or seeming things in the ordinary. Things happen. You got to think about it. Boy, the chair broke. Did I'm not careful with guests. Am I not careful with people eating at the table? I'm at the computer and the computer breaks. Is something I'm looking at? Is something I'm doing? What? You got to take this message internally and see what think about it a second. If you don't take that message, then your clothing, all of a sudden, Saras of the skin, the clothing. Again, nowadays, maybe it's not really Saras, we don't Saras nowadays, but something rips, something is lost. You lose your sweater. I don't know. Your sweater gets ripped. Oh my gosh, that guy's fault. No, it happened to you for a reason. And you don't get the message still, then it goes on your skin. And the current vernacular nowadays, you have internal injuries. So there's a progression that Hashem is merciful to give you lessons. By the way, you got to look at your actions because if you don't do this, it's going to get worse and worse, and it's going to affect you closer to your body, and you got problems. So there's warnings. There's warnings. And okay, Kliaker, fantastic. In the Bear Parsha, Rabbi Biederman has this really interesting idea that just kind of blew my mind a shtickle. Is that there's one person who this didn't happen to. There's one person that he died. He had children. He died. He was a great tzaddik. He died. He left his wife in Amana. His wife couldn't get his chus for this guy. One person, and calls him an Ish from Beis Lechem Yehuda, great man. Who was this? Elimelech. Elimelech. So if we know in a couple of weeks, 5 weeks from now, we'll be reading about Rus. As Elimelech goes, he's in Yehuda, and he leaves to go to Moab. And what's what's the story? What's happening here? What's going on here? And he dies. So Mepharshim, Rashi brings down this idea that he was a wealthy man, family, he had everything good for him. He did not want to hear the suffering, the cries of the people in this famine. It's a big famine that goes that we know. We know there's a famine. He left. Rus comes back. There's a famine. There's a famine in Eretz Yisrael. And this guy, Elimelech, he packs up and leaves town. Well, is that so bad? Abram had a famine. He left to go to Mitzrayim. People have these things. It's not unheard of. Something bad in your city, you want to leave. That's kind of normal. A lot of taxes, you pick up and leave. But the Mepharshim have a really terrible thing to say about this Elimelech because he had the ability to help people. When you're wealthy and your brothers and sisters around you are dying and there's a famine, and you just pack up and leave, that's cruel. That's Achzarius. That's cruel. Um, there's one thing to say, okay, you know what? He's not starving. You know what? He can't eat meat all the time. He has other people to collect. Okay, I don't give him. Maybe it's not an Akzar, someone who Shabbos needs a place to stay, a place to eat. He has his own house, but he's look okay. Is that cruel? As a guy who's single and he needs a place, not invite him. Maybe not, but not crazy. He's not starving. He's not dying. He's at his own Shabbos. He has challahs. It's not the end of the world, perhaps. Maybe that's not an Akzar, but someone who literally has people around him dying, the whole city, and he could have said, you know something, Mr. Poor Person, I'm not going to give you any money, but you could work for me. Boom. Or you know something, let me see if I can help you. Or Let me daven for you. Let me daven for you. We have a Gemara in Brachos. If you don't daven for someone, you're called a sinner. You're called a chota. Do that. Do that. Daven for someone. You don't want to give the guy money. Guy comes to shul and he's collecting. You don't want to give him. You don't trust. You know what? Feel bad a little bit. Hatzlacha, slicha, ein li anok. That's what I say. I don't have a wallet. I say, do you have bit? You know, that's we don't have Zelle here in Israel. We have bit. Really, you have bit? Lo? Slicha, ein anok. I don't have any. I don't have a wallet. I'm sorry. I don't have anything. I check. I go. I don't have. I have no wallet. I don't carry my wallet around usually. I just have my phone. So is that? I hope it's not. I asked the rabbi today. The rabbi's like, well, it's not Achzarius because he's not going to starve. He's not starving. There's other people he's collecting to. So don't give a shekel or a dollar to someone in the shul. Not an Achzar. Achzar is cruel and Zar is strange. Someone who sees a guy that I don't know you. Oh, you're a Jew? Yeah, yeah. I don't know you. I walk the other way. Someone different. Rabbi said, empathetica. I'm like, empathy, indifferent and apathetic. And the joke is, I heard today from Rabbi Gordon Zatzal, difference between indifferent and apathetic. The guy says, I don't know and I don't care. So that's kind of what the idea is. An Oxford guy is totally apathetic, doesn't care, nothing, gunished. This guy, Eli Melech, this great tzaddik, this great Eli Melech, who had the ability to help people, turns away. That guy, his money, his family couldn't save him. So, unlike most people in the world, Hashem gives lessons to, okay, you're doing something wrong, we're going to hit you in the house. Still clothing, still skin. Then you get punishment on you, not by Nachzarius guy. This Achzar, this cruel guy, Elimelech, even though he was a great Talmid Chacham, and his wife was great, and his children were great. Nope, being an Achzar, nothing could save this guy. Hashem had to take him out right away, which is a wild, wild idea. And not to kind of go kfir on everyone here. Years ago, I was at a bar mitzvah. Maybe I said this before. I don't know. I don't say it too often. Um, Years ago, I was at a bar mitzvah in Borough Park. I was maybe 30, 32, 33, whatever it was. And you go to a simcha in New York, and a lot of collectors. And some people get very upset. Some people say, hey, I have my suit, I have my wallet, here's $1. You're a Baal Simcha, you give something. It's a good omen. It's a good simon, I guess, maybe good mazel. I don't know. Or keep his daughter. they feed him, the poor person that's still alive in the morning, growing brachas somewhere. So other people, they don't give at a simcha. Other people get very upset. Trump making us, I'm at a bar mitzvah. You're coming over to me. What's going on here? One person, two, 10. You go to bar park sometimes in Williamsburg, you can get a whole crowd of people, going over the tables. Okay. So there's two ways to do this. One way is to say no. One way is to kind of yell. And years ago, I was at a bar mitzvah bar park, and I so hope I would have seen this, but I guess it's part of my life. So I take this as a lesson. Um, Sometimes I do, at least I hope. Um, People got so upset at this guy that they picked him up and they threw him out. This older guy. So the guy who threw this guy out maybe was like 50, and the guy who was getting thrown out was maybe 70, 65, 70. Older, poor Jew in a cold winter in Borough Park. These guys just picked this guy up and threw him out of the hall. And it crushed me. And I didn't know what to say. I can't say I was a kid. I was in my 30s. And it made a roach in my life. But okay. And they all they were all happy with each other, shtickle. They were yelling at him, you can't collect here, it's bar mitzvah. No, no, they just threw him out. Couldn't say no. Couldn't give him $1, 50 cents. Just say, they threw this guy out. And a couple years later, this guy dies. The guy who threw this poor guy out, he dies. with a wife, with children, and again, I don't know the story, but I know this didn't help. I know this didn't help. Um, that they're throwing a guy out in the cold, embarrassing in front of everyone, and being such an oxer. I know that didn't help his case. And again, take the story as it will, but I do know, those are the pieces. You want to make that leap, you can. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm doing that. Whatever. But either way, this is the story of what we're talking about here, and that's really our job of in Perky Avos. And I'm going along this week, but this idea really hits home. And the idea of Perky Avos, we spend 7 weeks to transform ourselves. Um, the students of Rebbe Kiva didn't die because they weren't great. They were great. But when it comes to the time between Pesach and Shavuos, if you're really not fixing your midos, you're literally chayiv misa. You're putting yourself on, in the danger zone. These people didn't die. 24,000 students, they didn't die Hanukkah time. They didn't die Shavuos time. They didn't die Rosh Hashanah. They didn't die after Yom Kippur. They died in these 7 weeks. When you are working towards getting the Torah and you finish your Pesach and you are new, you're brand new, and the first thing you want to do is reach out to people and change your midos and get this lave tov, get an ayin tov, change your shoresh. Some people have this sinna, this apathy. You want to say it's poison, it's cancerous. Is apathy worse than being cruel? Yeah, maybe it's the same, maybe it's different. Let's we can talk about that. This will go another 20 minutes. But either way, if you don't spend time in the 7 weeks of Sphira to work on yourself, then as the 25,000 students of Rab Kiva, you're literally Chayiv Misa. And if you're an Aksar, just like Eli Melech, Hashem's not going to say, let's give the guy chances. This, unfortunately, happened to Eli Melech. Who amongst us are as great as Eli Melech, who's literally his his wife, great things, his children, great person, but he had this blind eye and he's cruel to Jewish people. And that's the lesson we want to take from this parsha. We want to think about other people. We want to get the messages also. Things are happening. Maybe I have to change my ways. It's not just luck. The house is this, the car is this. There's something to take out of these lessons. And with that, Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov.